If you are a complete beginner, then I have a valuable lesson and teaching for you that will turn you into a millionaire even if you don't know anything yet. And this is a simple learning I have, practiced for the last couple of years. So let me talk about it. But first, I want to share a little bit of credibility why I am a person you can trust, because anybody can tell you anything on the internet without showing actual proof, and that's what I'm about to do. So, if we haven't met yet, my name is Fabian Werner. I'm a student from Germany, and right now I'm studying for a bachelor's degree in e-commerce at University of Applied Sciences Würzburg-Schweinfurt, where I am proudly recognized as one of the top 20% of students. At the same time, I have 2 years of experience working in tech, more specifically in tech sales. And at the same time, I have 5 years of experience in business from basically starting 3 businesses on my own. So the first business I started was an e-commerce store where I sold archive fashion around the globe. My second business was an productized service agency where I help businesses streamline their operations, mainly using a software called Notion. And my third business is the one you are seeing right now. It is a personal brand that I'm building online. I help people for free to scale their businesses, essentially get rich doing what they love. And I make these videos to share lessons I've learned along my way to make yours a little bit shorter, or at least more pleasant. So the thing you need to implement or you need to have is simple but not easy. You need to have a routine. Maybe you have heard it somewhere else, but a routine is the single biggest point of leverage you can use to get more stuff done in less amounts of time. So I have some notes on my phone regarding this video, and I will read them off and explain them to you so you can follow easier. And that's what I'm about to do. So let me quickly share my screen and my settings right here so you can follow everything I'm saying. So let me go to the side a little bit so you can follow what I'm actually trying to teach you. So we have already established that you need a routine. Why do you need a routine? Because it is insanely helpful knowing what you're going to do next. It is insanely hindering if you have to guess your next tasks, your next steps, when you need breaks, etc. So, the first thing being that you have to keep your goals in mind. Why that? Well, if you have a routine just for the sake of having a routine, that's not pretty beneficial. Then you could just do whatever you want to do, because if you have no goal, then there's no routine worth doing for. So, for example, if your goal would be to play in national football team, then your routine would be to practice playing football or soccer or whatever it's called on a regular basis, because otherwise you won't be good enough to get on the team. So that's the basic understanding I have, at least. So when you create your routine, you want to divide your day into multiple blocks. That's my approach to having a routine. And when you have these blocks, you want to fill in each block with to-dos you need to accomplish. So why do we do that? Because you develop a so-called red thread that guides you through the day in phases. So you have a block where you do high intensity work for short periods of time. You have a block where you maybe allow yourself to go on your phone, have calls, write emails, and then you have low intensity tasks like reading comments or reading emails and responding to them. And this is very important because this does not like mess up your mind when you are focused on one task, for example, creating a high mental effort script, for example, for a video like this, and then you get interrupted by 10 phone calls, 3 emails, and 2 Teams messages. This just does not move the needle forward. So it is great if you know that maybe for your case, the first 2 hours of your day is always focused on creating a YouTube script, for example, or always focused on writing a new sales email or a new newsletter, or writing copy for a sales page, or crafting a email sequence, whatever you use to drive leads. And here's how blocks could look like. This is just a rough example. I did this a couple of years ago. And here is a big learning because I'm right now clashing with my notes. So what you see right here is 5 a.m. wake up time. This is, at least in my experience, absolute garbage. So this is what many people tell you, that the earlier you rise, the more stuff you get done. Or I would not say it's garbage, but it depends on your personal preference. Because if you wake up at 5, you need 7 to 8 hours of sleep every night. Well, then you just need to go to bed at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. And I don't know if that is complementary with your life, but that's the follow-up or the result if you want to choose to wake up at 5 a.m. So I personally, when I wake up early, my earliest time to rise consistently is 6:30 a.m. But I have tried rising earlier. I have a video where I go through a 3 a.m. morning routine, but this is just I'm not able to have a 3 a.m. morning routine on a consistent basis. This just messes up your entire sleep-wake rhythm, your circadian rhythm, to be academically correct. So try it out for yourself. Find out if you are a person that enjoys to work late into the nights, or if you are a person that enjoys to work in the early mornings. And depending on that, you need to adjust your routine. So the next things we have right here: wake up, meditate, exercise, shower and eat the frog technique, don't check your emails. So waking up, of course. What you can also try, it works for me, is you go to bed, you don't set an alarm, and you just see to what hour you wake up naturally. And this only works if you go to bed at the same time every day. So I try to go to bed at 10 p.m. every day, and then I naturally wake up at around 7 to 9 a.m., which I'm pretty fine with, because I'm a person that needs a lot of sleep, and if I get a lot of sleep, I can get a insane amount of work done in pretty solid periods of time. So the one thing I've noticed from all of these routines over the years is that, waking up, yeah, of course, that's self-explanatory. You don't need to meditate, you don't need to exercise, you don't need to shower and eat. What I personally do is I wake up and I work. It's that simple. Nothing in between. And you want to, at least, and I have to repeat myself, but this is what works for me. I'm just sharing what works for me. You have to find out yourself, but you can guide or use my advice or my experience as a guide for yourself if you're doing a routine like this, and then you can find out if it works for you. If it does not, well, adjust what's in your personal interest and what you think needs to be adjusted so that you are at a higher performance state. At the same time, I want to make points clearly out. Not every day needs to be a high performance day, but if you are really motivated to get stuff done, move the needle, work on your goals, projects, side hustles, whatever, then this is a great setup that you can rely on, and you know that you will get results guaranteed if you follow a blueprint, a routine like this. It's definitely human to take at least one day off per week or do nothing else or whatever, but it's just for those high intensity days, just to point it out. So meditating, I have tried meditating, but I failed blatantly, and I have to redo it sometime in the future. But I first think I need to study the essence of meditating and the philosophy behind it more, and I need to read some books that I currently have on my reading list to actually understand the use of meditating. But doing it early in the mornings was just like another kick to me to fall asleep again, and it just made me more tired than I could have been. So what I do is I wake up, I work until I get so hungry that I have to eat, and then it's already like noon. So that works pretty well for me, at least. And it also works for me if I only eat one time per day, because that makes me insanely focused, because I know that I have this craving for food to finally get something to eat, and I only will eat something once I've finished editing 5 to 7 YouTube videos, for example, or after designing 20 thumbnails, or recording until my battery of my camera runs out. So for 4 hours or something like that. So this is all stuff that works for me. Then what I can recommend here is the eat the frog technique. This is something, let me draw it prettier. So the eat the frog technique is something that is pretty helpful. The only thing you essentially need, you don't need to journal, you don't need to keep some bullet journaling notebook stuff, at least in my opinion. It's what I've learned again. You only need a single clear goal of what you want to achieve for the entire day. And that's your broad umbrella target. So, for example, my goal today was to record as many videos as possible. And right now, this is the 8th video I'm recording. It's right now 7 p.m. And I've been doing this with like a break of 2 to 3 hours since I woke up today. And I have to say it works pretty well, because at the end of the day, you know that you have got a insane amount of work done. Okay. Don't check your emails or do any other busy work. That's a loss of momentum. That's definitely the case. Mute all notifications. On my smartphone, I've muted all notifications. On every device, even if it's a desktop or a laptop, I've muted all notifications. That works for me. And try, if it's possible in your circumstance, to already prime yourself to get less emails, get less phone calls, get less text messages, if it's possible in your workspace. Or if it's not possible, then at least try to inform the people messaging you on a regular basis that, for example, the first 4 hours of your workday are the ones where you don't want to be interrupted, for example, if it's possible in your circumstance. But it works wonders, promise me. That's what I did when I was a junior sales support at a tech company I've worked for, and it worked wonders. I got so much done because I was deep into coding a data visualization tool, and I could not get work done because programming is a task that needs high mental effort for extended periods of time. And when you get pulled out of your focus and your flow state, you lose insane amounts of momentum. So this is definitely true. Okay, so moving on with the afternoons. Yeah, that's okay when you need, then when you eat, when you have lunch or whatever you want to call it, you can experiment with eating. Some people I know that they eat in a 2-hour span, 3 different meals placed into that, and then nothing else. I found that it works for me if I only eat once per day, but then like a huge meal, for example, to essentially save time and still my hunger once per day so I can work more. It sounds hard, but that's what works for me. 1-hour breaks are great. Ideally, that's something I cannot live up to on a daily basis, but ideally you want to go outside and you want to do something that is not related to any screens. Consuming content is a trap I fall into myself very often because I'm creating a lot of content on YouTube, and so I have this urge or this habit of trying to keeping up what everybody else is doing on the platform, what are trends, what are thumbnail designs, what are others posting content about, what topics go well, what thumbnails go well, what is trending. So this is something that I can recommend to you if you create content yourself. So if you are a creator, a producer, and not a consumer, then it's definitely something worth doing for at least half an hour per day. And then, of course, you want to do busy work as well in your days. So answering emails, messages, and calls. But there's this quote that says, don't confuse action with progress. And all of this busy work, in my opinion at least, meetings, calls, emails, is just work that keeps you working, keeps you in an active state, but you don't accomplish anything in that time. So I try to cut all of this as short as possible. Even with my university lectures, I don't go to lectures, I pass all of the exams anyway, because I waste 4 hours every single time being stuck in there, learning nothing. And that's just the way it works for me. Other people need to go to every lecture and then they need to study less for the exam. What I do is I cram all of the knowledge from an entire semester into a 2-week study period in front of the exam. I put it into flashcards on my smartphone, go them through every single day for multiple hours. Then I have all the knowledge I need to pass every exam. It has worked for the last 4 semesters flawlessly. I'm top 20% of students. All the other students go to class. I never attend these classes. I've never been there once, and it works for me. But as with all things in this video, try it out for yourself, see what works, and stick to it. All right. And then the evenings. Of course, these times from evenings, noons, mornings can vary. Find out yourself. So this would also be not applicable for me. So 11 p.m. is essentially where I'm already in bed. But eat again, well, you definitely want to finish work. This is something I'm currently struggling with, but you want to set yourself a date and a time where you actually finish the thing you're doing, because you can always do more. You can always work longer hours. You can always do more iterations, but you have to set yourself like a deadline for a project, a deadline for your workday. And this is also an advice to myself that I'm giving right now. I have to set myself deadlines to finish and to wind down, as it's said here. And what I learned to appreciate is so I'm struggling, or I'm like switching between two things on a regular basis. One being reading books. When I read books, I read for 5 hours a day. And right now I'm not in a reading phase, but right now I'm in a jogging phase. So this works for me. I go for a run every now and then. I could and should go more often, but we're all human at the end of the day. And it is very refreshing to get outside, to get a little bit of vitamin D. It's great. Just go for an evening run. I prefer it over a morning run because in mornings you want to prime yourself for getting to work instantly. I've tried it for myself. Evening runs, in my opinion, over morning runs, but try it for yourself. Definitely no calls and be in bed before 10:30. Definitely I'm trying to get or fall asleep at least at 10:30, so I am in bed way before 10:30. All right. So how do you create your own routine? There are some notes down here. Okay, so when do you wake up? Pretty important. And drinking a glass of water right after waking up is a great tip. So that's the same thing I do. So I have this thing here. It has my name engraved on it. So I hope it's focusing. Yeah. And this is good, like 0.75 liters, or let's see, 25.3 ounces. And I try to drink at least 4 per day, which would turn out to 3 liters, or I think 0.75 gallons, something like that. And it works wonders. So stay hydrated, drink more than you eat, or at least as much as you eat. It works flawlessly. I drink a lot and I eat once per day, and this works perfectly for me. Then you need to figure out how many hours of sleep do you need to be fully functional. At least 7 or 8. I read Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker. You need, everybody, 99% of people need 7 to 8 hours of sleep. He wrote about that there are a couple of people who have some like genetical mutation or something so that they need less sleep, but it's just 0.000. So you're definitely I'm pretty sure about it that you're not one of them. So don't get yourself into this thinking state that you function with 2 to 4 hours of sleep per night. You won't. At least not for 10 plus years, because eventually you'll burn out or you get all of these nasty side effects that no one actually wants to have. All right. So how long can you work without getting distracted? This is a stupid question, because the longer you work and the longer you work on the right things, you will notice that you can focus for extended periods of time the longer you do the same things. So for example, if you get used to stuff, that's essentially building a habit out of your work. If you get used to working 4 hours before your first break every single morning, then you also know that you can work ideally 4 hours completely focused, undistracted. So if I'm designing thumbnails for my YouTube videos, for example, I've set my goal, and that's another aspect. So in these blocks, I set myself goals that I don't say, okay, I work for 2 hours. No, I work until I'm done. And however long it takes is the amount needed. So for example, today I have 68 videos in my pipeline to be filmed. And right now, or today, I thought to myself, I work so long until either the battery of my camera dies or my SD card runs out of storage. And that's what I'm about to do. And right now, we're looking pretty good. So there are still some more videos to go. Okay, so do you have a job that you need to incorporate into the planning? Well, that's of course important. So I have nothing to add to that, but if you have a day job and you're doing your hobby or your creative outlet on the side, you definitely want to schedule it around to fit well. And it's no shame if you take time during your job to do and pursue the thing that you want to pursue, actually. Ideally, you want to have a job, if you have a job, that learns or teaches you the stuff you need to know to do the thing you want to do. For example, if you want to start your own clothing brand, then there's no shame working for a clothing brand that teaches you everything: how to get suppliers, how to get customers, how to retain customers. That's great. Okay, so next thing, what value does the leisure time you spend with friends and family have? Every now and then, and again, that's a reminder to myself as well, you need to spend time with other people. If you spend too much time with yourself, you don't get inspired. You need social connections every now and then, even if you feel lonely. But it's okay to feel lonely, because when you are starting a new thing where you have no experience but a lot of dedication, like I had with this YouTube channel, you will have what Alex Hormozy calls the lonely chapter. And the lonely chapter is pretty much the hardest chapter you will face in your life, because it is the chapter where you don't can't identify with all the people you have been with to this point, but you have not yet found a new group of people that welcomes you into their circle, because you don't have the skill set yet to hang out with them. And that's the path you need to maneuver for yourself, navigate for yourself, and that's pretty hard, and it takes a long periods of time. So for myself, it has been 1.5 years now, and there's, at least as of today recording this video, no end in sight yet. But there is a little bit of light at the end of my way already, because I'm building a community online, a community of lovely people that write insanely comforting and motivating messages, that they enjoy my content, that they love what I'm doing, and this is insanely inspiring and motivates me to keep doing what I'm doing. So thank you to each and everyone appreciating my work, writing how they love it, how they're watching every video, how they're returning. You keep my dream alive. Thank you so much. And the last thing is, what are your short-term, medium-term, and long-term goals that you want to achieve? Well, I have a lot of videos that you can search up about goals and goal settings, how to visualize your goal, how to work towards your goal, how to stay consistent. Just have a look around my channel. I hope you were able to learn something from all of this. I hope you were able to get a new direction, some new input, or a new idea. Maybe that got sparked. If so, then let me know in the comments. I'm eager to read about your new idea or project or whatever. And if you've learned something, then I highly recommend you check out my newsletter in the description down below. My newsletter is a place where I write about all of the personal learnings I gain on my journey, and where I share all of my successes, my failures. I make even my numbers of my business fully transparent, because I want to share with you what I'm doing, why I'm doing it. And if I succeed, then I want you to know that it is absolutely possible to succeed from nothing. So follow me on my journey. I will see you in the next video. Every video will be better than the last. I appreciate that you've watched until this point. I will see you in the next one. Have a great day. Bye bye.